but what is the definition of starting over? No, you're not qualified to be a TA.
Oh.
That was a more difficult kind of role to swallow and see myself in. You'll have imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Allah has closed one door for you, and then there was a huge castle that opened.
Thank you. No, thank you. I hope that was good. I hope it was...
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Game Changer podcast. I'm really excited to be here. I'm super happy to be here. First of all, I wanted to welcome you to this new season. We're moving to in-person recording in Canada, in Toronto. And at the same time, I also wanted to thank everybody who has contributed to the GoFundMe, my friends, my relatives, everybody in France, in the UK who supported this move. I wanted to thank you so much, Jazakallahu khairan, everybody. I'm really excited. And today, we have an amazing guest from Toronto, Kareem, my brother, who is here welcoming us in Toronto. And also, I'm really excited because it's the first one that has accepted to be an in-person recording. Assalamu alaikum, Kareem, and welcome to the Muslim Game Changers.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Very nice. I'm really excited to have this discussion. First of all, let us begin. Can you tell us about yourself? Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Yeah, I guess to start off, first of all, thank you for inviting me onto the podcast. I'm super excited. A little bit on me. My name is Kareem. Originally, our family's from Egypt. I grew up in Calgary, Alberta. So I was born in Kuwait, and then I grew up in Calgary, Alberta.
Okay.
So a little bit out in the west, in the more of the countryside of Canada. And then I spent almost a decade in Saudi Arabia, where our family lived, and then I spent 2 years in England in boarding school. And then I came back to Alberta for university, where I studied petroleum engineering, oil and gas. And then COVID hit, and in my last year, that's when I came to Toronto. And yeah, before my last year, I learned a little bit of coding just to beef up my resume. Mm-hmm. And I've been working as a software engineer since then. Before, I used to teach on the side at boot camps, and now I teach at college. And that's kind of brought me to where I'm at here.
First of all, it's an honor to have you, Kareem. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. And at the same time, I think there is so much to learn about Kareem. This is why I'm so excited about this discussion. So many people in our community feel locked into one career they choose at 18, let's say. They see their degree not as a starting point, but some of our brothers and sisters, as a life sentence. So your journey, I believe, I think it's a masterclass in how to define that, because you went from petroleum engineering then to health science, and now not only are you doing software engineering, but also you're teaching it. So I think what's interesting, and this is what I want, this brings me to my question: how did you end up as a software engineer and even a professor teaching it? Like, what made you pivot each time from like petroleum engineering to then health science, and now a completely different topic in tech? What made you pivot each time? What went through your mind?
Yeah, great question. And you actually reminded me, I forgot to mention, I'm wrapping up this year with a master's in health science and health innovation. And so a few different directions I think my career has gone. What got me initially into software is the summer before my last year at university, I just wanted to add some more skills to my resume.
Okay.
So I took a boot camp. It's 3 months full time. You learn a few languages, web development, front end, back end, some databases. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think too much of it at the time. Mm-hmm. And then alhamdulillah, I think, Allah opens doors, and I found that there was a door that opened in software right after I graduated. And so I started working in software. And since then I've been in software. It's been a few years now, and I found a lot of barakah in it. And so that's what I've been doing so far, and I'm very glad that I did. I think software is a very versatile industry. I think it's very flexible. There's a lot of good that can come out of working in tech. And the other thing is the teaching. I think that is where a lot more barakah came out of. I never initially saw myself as a teacher or teaching. I think it all came out of the boot camp I initially took. I was friends with the TA.
Okay.
And, I saw the work that the TA was doing, and I thought to myself, I could do something similar.
That's nice.
I mean, I just at the time I didn't have a job, so I just wanted to mentor other students. So I asked to be a TA, and at the time the manager said, no, you're not qualified to be a TA.
Oh.
So what I opted to do is I would join some of their events and just mentor students for free. So I wouldn't be, I just said I'll do it for free. And then the word got around, oh, you've been involved in mentoring things, why don't you come be a TA? And then from there, I, spent some time wanting to eventually teach. And then that one was also harder to get into because of qualifications and things like that and bureaucracy. Alhamdulillah, like as long as you apply and you look for opportunities, there will be opportunities. Mm-hmm. And then eventually I was able to teach online for classes in the US. And then I even got to teach in Bahrain for 3 months. That one was in person. And then when I came back, I was looking into more teaching opportunities. Actually, the whole college, that's an entire story on its own. I don't know if you want me to share that one, but
I think really I'm just mind blown, but just Allah has closed one door for you, and then there was a huge castle that opened because you went to Bahrain. It's amazing.
There's a lot of barakah. Yeah.
It's amazing. And I just wanted this podcast, and I think this is the image I want to convey. It's a lot about deconstructing strategies. Like how do I get from point A to point B? Yep. You're an engineer, you know this by heart. Like I just wanted from that realization when you were in petrol engineering to tell yourself, I think a lot of the students we have in our community, they get stuck in one place, but then they want to pivot, but they don't get what's the next step? What should I do to act upon it? So can you take us to the very next day? That day where you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to move from petrol engineering, take a boot camp. What went through your mind? How did you tell yourself the boot camp is the way to go? So tell us about it, Kareem.
Yeah. At the time I didn't really know what I was getting into. Mm-hmm. My family was telling me, hey, maybe you should try learning software. Now, at the time, as an undergrad at university, a lot of, I think, situations where people might be resistant to what family recommends them to do. They want me to learn this, learn that, do this, do that. And sometimes you can get into the habit of thinking, oh, I'm already studying this. My degree's already in this. I'm just going to stay in this discipline. But at the time, I thought to myself, there's no harm in doing it. Might as well learn for fun.
Yeah.
And so I did. I learned it for fun, and there was a lot of barakah in it. But I think what was even more difficult is getting into the teaching. I think that was a lot more, because I think the jump from the qualification requirements to be a teacher, I think is something that I definitely did not feel like I was qualified for. I felt like I could do the job, but I didn't feel like when I would see my peers, they would be a lot more experience, years of experience and things like that. And so that was a more difficult kind of role to swallow and see myself in, and a lot more intimidating to apply for. But as far as software engineering, one thing I learned from teaching at the boot camps is I've seen people all across from all different backgrounds, even aside from engineering, that pivot into software and tech. Especially during COVID, there was this big boom. A lot of people switching into tech. And so that movement really made me see how flexible careers really are, and how much you can do with your career. I mean, your career is anywhere between 30 to 50 years.
Exactly.
Subhanallah, 30 to 50 years is a lot of time, but it's also a very short time.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of time. You can do so much. And an entire degree is 4 years out of 30 to 50 years.
Exactly.
And you don't even technically need 4 years to master a skill to apply it. And even for an entry level role, you don't need 4 whole years to learn it. Even aside from tech, in other industries, if you're diligent, within 1 to 2 years, you can become proficient to an entry level role, right? So pivoting careers isn't a huge mountain that people see. Sometimes there might be barriers, like credentials. Maybe there's barriers in opportunities, things like that. But the skill set, I would say not to reject yourself because of a skill set or something like that. I really believe the world is your oyster. 20 years in your career, if you decide, you know what, I want to change my career and be a doctor, you can do it.
Yeah.
If you decide I want to change my career and do this, or change my career and do that. And the thought of starting over also is a barrier for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But, what is the definition of starting over? I mean, whether you're 1 year into an industry or 10 years into the industry, you're still practicing the art of that work or whatever it is. And your past experience, just because it's in a different industry, does not nullify it, right? If anything, you can actually start at a more senior role because you have experience, even if it's in a different industry.
Yeah.
But I feel like people don't reach that point of the conversation because they quit a lot more earlier on, and they don't even continue that conversation with themselves of, should I pursue this or not?
Exactly.
So there's a lot, I think, in there. Yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
It answers perfectly.
I end up going on tangents.
No, that's the spirit. That's how we do it at Muslim Game Changers. I think also it's also about getting out of your comfort zone. That the jobs are, my job will maybe not exist in 5 years, and when you're a student, when you're in an entry level role, you think that okay, this maybe it will stick with you for life. It does not, because the career is way longer. You will do, I think it was my teacher in business school who said you will do an average of 10 to 12 different jobs over the course of a career.
Yeah.
So don't go with this false assumption, and don't underestimate yourself. It's really important. I wanted to also ask about a very specific topic that I think concerns a lot of people trying to transition into tech. I know that I've been to events in Toronto, and I heard some feedback about this. It's that people try to go into tech jobs, but sometimes they struggle with the imposter syndrome because maybe they went into boot camps, which are great, by the way. They're amazing, but maybe they've gone to non-traditional ways which are academic, that are expected since I don't know when generation. So I wanted to know, how did you overcome that feeling to the point where now you are teaching? So that feeling of imposter syndrome, there are others which are at your position which have a computer science degree. How did you overcome that, and what advice could you give to our brothers and sisters facing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think imposter syndrome is very real. Even if you do a full 4-year degree, a master's degree in computer science, when you graduate, or any industry, when you graduate, naturally, when you look at other folks the expectation is that they're at the same level or a similar level or a similar job, and you see that they're performing in a certain way or that they know certain things, and you don't feel like you know as much as them or perform like them, you'll have imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And I think that with software, it can happen a lot more because there's a variety of different ways people enter the software industry. I had a colleague of mine who worked in oil and gas for 10 years, didn't do a boot camp, didn't go back into schooling or university or college. And when COVID hit, they were laid off because of the oil price, and self-taught 1 year, just out of their own curiosity. Every day they'd learn a little bit of coding.
On YouTube and
yeah, and now they work as a full stack software engineer. And they're doing great at it. They're exceptional at it, at a really good company, right? And so at the end of the day, I think that the most important thing is, what do you know about your skills? And you can compare yourself to others, and there is a degree that is healthy in that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, in every industry you go to, there's going to be competition. There's going to be this and that.
Exactly.
The more you work on yourself, I think the more comfortable you'll be with yourself. And I think that every way of learning is a valid way of learning.
Yeah.
A university degree isn't as much of, I wouldn't say it's as much of a certification of knowledge as it is a certification or verification that you can commit to something for 4 years.
Yes.
That you can accomplish it's more of an accomplishment than a verification of knowledge in my eyes, because unless you really look into the transcripts and then you look at the way that they're grading and things like that, they do hold themselves to a certain standard.
Yes.
But it's more of proof that you can commit for 4 years. And that's what businesses like. They like seeing that, oh, this is someone that if I hire them, they have the ability to commit to a role and a job for 4 years or for more.
Yeah.
Right? Knowledge itself, I mean, you can have people that haven't gone to high school dropouts that are extremely knowledgeable.
It's true.
Right? It's just about how hard they work every day. And if you're talking about where they get the knowledge from, universities don't have proprietary knowledge. Everything's on the internet. You can find some of the most advanced things on the internet, right? So we really do live in a day and age where we're not as heavily relying on these institutions. And so I wouldn't worry too much if you have a background from a boot camp, or even if you never went to a boot camp and you're self-taught. If you know the projects you've built and things like that, trust in yourself, trust in the plan Allah has written for you. And don't worry about the imposter syndrome. Make dua and don't worry about it. It's a very natural feeling, a natural emotion, and it will. It's a healthy thing to feel.
Have tawakkul.
Have tawakkul. Absolutely. I love that.
Maybe I should put it somewhere. Actually, it's so important.
Yeah, we'll just change the background. Say tawakkul.
Exactly. Also, on the topic of knowledge in Islam, amana, the translation, teaching actually fulfills that part of it gives you actually hasanat on a sense. Do you see this extensive teaching work that you do also on the side? You also are a software engineer. You do also a lot of, we'll talk about that. You do a lot of other things on the side. Kareem is super busy, by the way. Like, I'm honored he gave me some time because this guy has an agenda.
No, I'm free.
Do you see your extensive teaching work as a way of fulfilling that amana, that trust, Kareem?
These are great questions, by the way. SubhanAllah, amazing questions. I do see it as a degree of giving back to society or giving back to the community. I think when Allah puts a lot of barakah in your work and in the things, in your efforts, because the effort that I put in versus the results that I've seen, they don't match. I've put in very little effort and Allah has put in a lot of barakah. So as a result, you have to, I see that it's obligatory to give back as out of gratitude for the fact that Allah has blessed you so much.
Yeah.
And even though we might see it as, this role, that role, this job, that job, alhamdulillah, on every level, alhamdulillah, even before all of this, alhamdulillah, I was already very blessed. And so the teaching is a great way to give back. It is, and one thing I usually do with my students is, I always try to be as honest as I can. And so if there's a topic that I'm trying to teach and talk to them about, but I don't really know too much about it, I'm going to tell them, and I don't know. Search online, or I'll come back. Or if they ask me a question I don't know the answer to, I'll say I'll come back to you with the answer next week. Or something like that. But I don't go up there and claim that I know everything and I'm the expert and I'm the top software. Like, I'm not. I'm there. I can help communicate. I can relate a lot more with the students as well because I'm closer to them in age. But I don't go up there and act like I'm, the smartest, most, I'm not like a genius by any means. I wish I was. That'd be beautiful. It'd be beautiful if I was. But I do feel like there's a lot of barakah in giving back. And I think that even having the opportunity to give back is so much barakah. And I'm very grateful for that.
May Allah reward you, Kareem. Yeah, he has a great soul. May Allah reward Kareem. And also on the topic of teaching, I think one question I was really excited, teaching, actually, you learn so much by teaching. Because maybe a student, I was a teacher before, I was an English teacher in France when I was in France.
MashaAllah.
I don't know if my English is that good. I have to improve. But so far so good. But for instance, when you teach, you actually sometimes, a student will ask you a question. Maybe you will not know the answer, come up with something, and then tell yourself, I have to get home and actually learn about this so that I can anticipate if I get that question next time. So actually, how does being an active engineer, an active software engineer, make you a better teacher?
Yeah.
And conversely, how does teaching make you a better software engineer?
I think there's a lot for both sides. I'll start with the easier one. Working as a software engineer helps with teaching because I can relate it to real world work. I can tell them, in the corporate world, you'll see this, or this will come up, or not even corporate at this job or that job, or I can really emphasize certain things that maybe the curriculum might not emphasize by default as much.
Sure.
And I can relate it to real world examples. And I think those examples really help put things into context.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the other way around, that one is a lot bigger as well. I think teaching is so many different layers, so many different levels. One of them is, you're teaching the subject. So you have to learn the subject before it to teach it.
Yeah.
So even if it's a subject that's a bit more new to me, I still kind of have to do some research beforehand. Like there is some courses where I had to learn a little bit beforehand.
Yeah.
And try to figure out how to explain this and how to teach it from their perspective. So that's one dimension of it. And another dimension of it is the students. I think I learned so much from just people in general and students. There's a lot of psychology, I think, that I learned just from the way students react, the questions they ask, seeing their progress throughout the semester. I feel like you see patterns and you can see what kind of work ethics some students have, where you know this is going to be a successful student. And you know, like I think based on some questions that they ask, I can figure out what's going on in their head. How much do they understand? What are they concerning themselves about? And I feel like I'm learning a lot more about learning psychology from the way the students behave. And also about social dynamics, just seeing the way the students are in the class, the questions they ask. I do learn a lot in that sense. And I think I continue to learn. Sometimes students ask questions about things that I thought were obvious, but they apparently weren't obvious because the way that I explained it was wrong. And so I realized the way I'm explaining things, I completely gloss over some topics because in my head I have this bias, a bias that they already know this, or and that may not be the case.
It's true.
So I think, and every new class is different. There's always different dynamics, different students sitting in different places, different levels of backgrounds. And so even if I'm giving the same lecture to a different class over the years, I always get different questions and different feedback. And I think the way that helps me with my job, number one, in communication, number two, in mentorship. I think I'm a lot more patient with some of the more junior developers. I think it also just helps me approach subjects differently. Like if I'm at work and there's something I have to figure out and I don't really know how to go about it, I'll put myself in a student's position. Let me read about the subject. Let me try to approach it this way. Let me try to I do a lot of small projects now. Let me build a small project with this language or this framework and, do some basic things with it and then come back and try to solve the problem with this new knowledge. So I think there's a lot of methodology in there that I'm also learning from the way the students are learning.
This is very interesting. Actually, I have to be honest. We discussed a bit of the mic on this topic, and we were saying something very interesting that you were saying, actually, Kareem. Thank you for this. That academia is a bit behind sometimes, especially when you go to universities. It's maybe 2 or 3 years after something comes up, they're beginning to teach about it.
Yeah.
We can see this before, for instance, for cybersecurity, they were quite late on this. Now they're trying to catch up. How, I was telling myself, how do you assess education institutions and what they might be getting wrong about the tech industry? How can they improve, reducing that gap, trying to catch up quicker than currently, because now a bootcamp feels actually way more up to date than a university. But that's my opinion, okay?
No, I think these are great questions, and you're absolutely right. And the way I like to think about it is there are some really big companies out there, huge companies, let's say oil and gas or consulting companies that are still using Microsoft Excel, right? And that's not a bad thing, right? But when you ask why are they still using some of these technologies, even though Microsoft Excel is still great, there's a lot more software platforms out there that have the same number of tools and maybe a bit more. I'm using Excel as an example, but I'm sure Excel is great.
I use Excel on a daily basis.
I'm not hating on Microsoft Excel, but the reason why is because these big companies are very bureaucratic. And so if they want to move to a new tool, there's a lot of teams, there's hundreds of people, thousands of people that they have to migrate, HR, this department, that department, and then they have to do a few rounds of evaluations and checks and this and that. And so it ends up becoming a process that takes a few years. And that's if the initiative gets moved forward. So when it comes to academic institutions, even though they are interested in wanting to keep up with industry trends, it still takes a few rounds of review. And because of that, that's why they're always going to be a little bit behind industry by, depending on the institution, anywhere from 1 to a couple of years, because they need to review it. They need to make sure that it's relevant to the industry, that it's something that they should be teaching for a long time. They need to make sure that it's, how can they verify that it's, being used in the industry? So even though they might be well aware of current technologies and frameworks that are growing very fast, they can't incorporate it into the curriculum yet before drafts are made of the course to be proposed, and they have to run it by the board, and who knows how often the board meets and this and that. So there's a few barriers that cause it to be delayed. Now, there are things in place, kind of more open-ended courses, project-based courses, where they encourage students to explore more modern languages and frameworks, but maybe they just haven't developed the curriculum for it yet, concrete curriculum, or they're still in the works of doing it. So they're always going to be a little bit behind. Boot camps are more like businesses, private businesses, and so they can be very fast with it and very quick with it.
I think also it's really interesting what you're saying. It made me think that actually tech now goes so fast. Like it's crazy. Like every day there's something new that comes up, some new it's hard like to create like courses take a lot of time. In France there is engineering that goes behind how to teach. It's actually an engineering type of job. Engineers design how to teach the best way possible. So I think it takes a lot of time for it to catch up to tech, but it's only normal because tech goes so fast also. So it's just so.
No, I agree. You know, that reminds me of AI. I think AI is a huge topic in and of itself, and ever since like with ChatGPT a couple years ago, and then now with a lot of the other, like with what Anthropic is doing and Google and. A lot of interesting work being done there, and a lot of questions about software and where it's going and what the potential of AI is. And I think it's a very exciting time actually to be working and innovating. And I think it's AI is enabling innovation at another level. But a lot of exciting.
Then this is great. This is great, Kareem. I don't want you to stop there. Actually, because this I think is very important for the youth. I want them to be entrepreneurs, inshallah, to be the best entrepreneurs possible. Sky is the limit. I think it opens up a lot of doors. We see, for instance, Replit, Cursor, a lot of things that are very accessible. Like I've seen last time on LinkedIn, I think a guy, he was like 12 years old and he built an entire app that now has so many users. I forgot what was the purpose of the app. But now you can just prompt it and it develops your brain, opens up so much. So I don't know what you think about this, Kareem. Like I think it opens up so much doors for the youth instead of wasting time elsewhere.
And I agree. I think it's. I personally think that AI is a really cool innovation. Right? It's computers at another level. It's processing data and information at another level, much faster, much more in a much more useful fashion. And I agree 100%. It is opening the doors for innovation, and I think that the youth of today and what they will innovate and the kinds of problems that we'll have will change as well. And I'm excited to see 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, what kinds of problems will we have and what kinds of innovations are we going to have. The other thing is, it is enabling a lot more people to be entrepreneurs. And so I think that the economy will also move away from having such large companies to a little bit more fair, small to medium-sized companies, so that everyone works for their bread and butter and through innovation. Even if there's a lot of similar ideas, it's who works the hardest or who works the best. And so I think it's a little bit more fair. And I think that also makes sense because of the growing population of the globe. And I think that that's just the type of economy that will be more sustainable. To at least reduce the difference between the super rich and the super poor. But I think AI is a way to, even just for people, more for people that are just passionate, people that just have ideas and they're passionate about their ideas. They just want to bring their ideas to life. They will use AI as a tool and they will develop, 2 times, 5 times, 10 times as fast. And even people that don't have that technical background can bring their ideas to life. And so I think it's a fantastic tool that is going to bring about some really exciting things.
You know what I was thinking? Little pause. I was thinking how grateful I have Kareem to be here. Thank you so much for being with us, Kareem. On this topic of AI, I actually had a question which I hope will answer so many of yours. It's a question that I hope is on everybody's mind. I see a lot of students, of seasoned professionals, okay, people who are our age, even older, who are actually scared of AI. They're telling themselves, is AI gonna replace me? Am I gonna find a job still in 5 years? Or I'm already struggling to get a job. We saw this with the entry-level jobs. We were at a conference last time at Max. They were talking about entry-level jobs.
Yeah.
As someone who is an expert at this, you are teaching software engineering, you're a software engineer, even though you're very modest, you're very well positioned to answer this question. Well, how do you respond to those fears?
That's a very loaded question. A lot of good insights. So this is my opinion, 100% my opinion. So I just want to make that disclaimer.
So be kind in the comments, okay?
Be kind in the comments. Thank you. I like that. I think that, we're all thinking about AI, but if we go back 30 years ago and you think about computers, we've already been replaced by computers by a huge percentage. Majority of work that we do in majority of industries are by computers.
Yeah.
We just have people to program those computers and work with computers. So when we asked, have computers replaced us? Technically, to some degree, yes, but we still have those jobs. It's just the name of those jobs and the source of those jobs is just more advanced and for different direction. With AI, when you say AI is going to replace your job, yeah, AI is going to replace your job, but not you. You're going to move on to a more advanced role because of that. Because
say it louder.
You know what I mean? So you're going to be in a role now where either more working with AI or something, or the goals of the company will become more advanced, and so you will advance with it because of AI. Will they need as much of a workforce? Well, if they cut people out, those people are just going to go and work at a different company that needs more people. Mm-hmm. So it's just a natural balance. But I don't think AI will replace people. AI will replace roles that we don't need it for. It's like, have calculators replaced mathematicians? They have not, right? We have mathematicians now working on more advanced things, right? Calculators are a tool, just like AI is.
To be honest, I'm so passionate about this question because little apart, okay, my fiancé told me to tell more about the things I do. I'm just gonna quick note on this. It's that I work in people analytics, and basically my whole job is to anticipate the workforce of tomorrow. How can we train? Because people just think of, okay, I go in a boot camp or I go on free code camp or so on to learn about coding. But also we have, for instance, I work for a company that has 100,000 employees. They are existing employees. We can provide our own learning resources for them to accompany this transformation. We're not just gonna leave them behind or fire them and say, okay, you guys are has-been, we're gonna hire those new jobs. No, we're gonna take those people and try to move them, train them to be ready for those new jobs. I think it's very important. And the corporate side, big companies especially, will support you in this regard because they have everything to gain. They don't want you to stagnate in one position. You will be a losing asset. They want to train you.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to reach out to your HR learning and development department. It's very important because they will support you in this regard. So yeah, little party, because I want to bring advice. Yeah.
No, please. I think that's 100%. Yeah.
And the next topic I wanted to discuss with you, and this is how I actually met Kareem. I met you through Max, which is the Muslim Achieving Excellence organization. So it's an organization of Muslims which are in the corporate side, which is based in Canada. And they're trying to bring change and challenge the status quo, trying to accompany people to reach the top of the ladder, to help also the new generation. I'm trying to recap as much as possible, but I'm not the founder. So you volunteer your tech skills at Max, Muslim Achieving Excellence, and participate in building something which I absolutely loved. I thought it was fantastic. Max Aspire, which is a Muslim LinkedIn. Can you tell us more about this and what gap were you trying to solve with this?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm very fortunate to have had the opportunity to be able to join Max and contribute, and it's a beautiful community of distinguished Muslims achieving excellence,
Yeah.
And I'm always in awe of the whole team and everyone that works, and the work ethic, the excellence, the standard that they hold themselves to. And Aspire is a project that's been going on, and I was fortunate to be able to contribute to a part of the project where we wanted to build similar to like a LinkedIn platform, but not LinkedIn. So it was just a platform. It's at least it's starting off as a platform where we can bring together the professional communities so that they can enhance their careers and their goals, and they can support small Muslim businesses so that we can also advertise for Muslim businesses.
Oh, that's great.
You know, we just want to bring together the Muslim professional community. It's not, the idea isn't for it to be like a startup or innovative or this and that. It's meant to be a strong, reliable resource for the Muslim community. And I think that we're still working on it and building on it. And inshallah, you know, I really do believe in the vision. I think there's going to be a lot of barakah in it. There's already been so much barakah in it. And I'm super, super happy to be a part of it.
May Allah reward you, Kareem. Honestly, he's doing so much work, him and his team. There are so much software engineers that work on this. I think last time they were saying like there are 80,000 lines of code or something. They're doing some.
We're actually over 100,000 now.
Yeah. But these are the new milestones you're trying to reach. Reach the users. This is what we want. Guys, I want to also say, I will leave the link to Max Aspire in the description.
Yes, that'll be
Please
great.
check it out. Share with. This is how we build power. Like I'm a massive advocate of like Muslims for Muslims, like a circular thing. It's very important. So please use it, create a profile, but also like pass it forward. This is how we build strength. So I also wanted to discuss on giving back to the community. It's very important. How do you think we can leverage tech to try to bring change in our ummah, like spiritually, economically? How can we leverage tech, especially now there are so many, we talked about AI earlier, how can we leverage it to make the most of it to uplift our ummah?
I think we already have amazing technology out there for the Muslim ummah.
Yeah.
I think that we need to put more of that technology in the spotlight. There are amazing, amazing softwares out there for the ummah. We have Muslim accelerators, Muslim entrepreneurs. You know, there's so much out there already that I think we need to elevate more.
Yeah.
And I think over the next 10, 20 years, we're going to have even more come out as a result of AI. I think that technology is a fantastic way to, share the message of Islam, and also to increase our iman and keep us, remind us of the blessings and everything good. And by all means, we should absolutely have our infrastructure, applications, software, data. You know, we should be able to have a lot more of that within, Muslim power. And I think that there's a lot of good that could come out of it. Yeah.
Inshallah. May Allah facilitate for everybody who has an idea and is bold enough to act upon that idea. It takes a tremendous amount of courage. People have families, they have responsibilities. And sometimes they sacrifice their entire life just to create something for the ummah. I find this courage incredibly inspirational. Like, it's so beautiful. You are very passionate about the topic of mentorship. You alluded to it before when you talked about Max Aspire. Who were some of your mentors? The Prophet ﷺ is the ultimate mentor. We cannot say the Prophet because it's the ultimate mentor. But as a second, third, and so on, these are open positions. Who were your mentors, and what advice did they give you that you could pass on to others?
I think that there's so many mentors in my life. You know, starting with my family. You know, I always look up to my family, and even just throughout my career, a lot of my managers, I think, have been mentors to me and very supportive. There's a lot of folks at Max as well. I think I really look up to and inspire me to continue doing more and working harder. Even I think the more people I meet, the more I realize there are people out there younger than me that are my mentors. So, even just like I was telling you earlier today, I mean, there's people, undergraduates, they haven't even finished their degree yet. And they have startups, and they're working on this, working on that, and I see them as mentors to me. And so a lot of folks out there, I think, that have been instrumental in my growth, and I can't be more grateful for everyone that has helped me out.
Alhamdulillah. And actually, I had a last question for you, Kareem. It's been brilliant. Each time, I hope the other person that I bring here have the same feeling as me, because me, I'm just having a fun time. Like I just tell myself, man, I have this amount of time left and so on, but I'm having the best of time, to be honest. So thank you so much, Kareem. My last question is that what is the next big thing you're excited to take on?
Oh.
And we wish you the best. Everybody make dua for our brother. We want the success of our brother. So what is the next challenge you're excited about, or something that is dear to your heart?
Yeah, that's a great one. There's a lot of things. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I think that, I asked someone a couple years ago. I was doing some coffee chats, and I was asking the same question. I'm like, well, 5 years from now, what's your goals and this and that? And he told me something interesting. He said, we can't actually plan realistically more than 2 years of our lives, because anything beyond that, we have no idea. We have no idea where we'll be. And I really thought about that, because I realized if I go back 2 years ago, I would have never seen myself where I am now.
Yeah.
If I go back 2 years before that, I would have not known where I am now. Mm-hmm. And so I think that there's this element of, there's so much out of my control that is only within Allah's control. That, like you said, involves a lot of tawakkul.
Yeah.
And I think that beyond that, whatever Allah has planned, I want to be sincere in my efforts. I want to try my best, and whatever doors open, I want to enter them with an open heart and open mind, and not to try and limit myself or reject myself before even walking through the door. As far as what does that look like, I mean, there's avenues. I think in tech would be good, software engineering. I think business is good. I've personally found a lot of interest in startups and entrepreneurial pursuits, and I know AI will be a big portion of that.
Yeah.
But I do find a lot of satisfaction in working with startups. I think naturally, maybe my work ethic, I gravitate more towards startups and entrepreneurs, and I find that level of innovation is very attractive.
Yeah.
I think that it brings together a lot of very smart minds and intellectual minds. And I think Islam commands us for ihsan, for excellence, right? And so I think there's a lot of, in the areas where there is a lot of innovation, we should be there as well. Whether it's academic and research and masters and PhDs, whether it's in industrial, tech, infrastructure, everything.
Yeah.
Where there's innovation, I think I want to focus on trying to be there. Whether it's down the aisle of petroleum engineering, or even in health tech and health innovation, health infrastructure, or down software, academia, teaching. I think it would be nice to teach at the university level. I don't know if I'm qualified yet. Maybe after my master's, we can look at some options, but I think that would be a fun thing. But teaching's always just been for fun. It's never been my main goal, but I think there's a lot of barakah in teaching, and so I love keeping it around. And I think I'm also very lucky to be teaching, so that's one thing. I hope that kind of answers your questions. I feel like I went in a circle on that one.
No, this was beautiful. It was beautiful, and I wish you the very best in everything that you attempt. I wish you the very best. Any type of person that has an idea and act upon them, I applaud it. I'm the number one fan of that. So I wish you the best, my brother. May you go. Sky is the limit, inshallah. And for all the youth watching out there, this is the goal of this podcast. Sky is the limit. Jazakallah khairan, Kareem, for being with us. It was a real pleasure. It was fun. Thank you so much for being with us, and may Allah reward you for your time.
Thank you for inviting me, Ameen, and for you as well.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and see you on the next one. Allah Hafiz.